Thank you, Rai. A very, very good afternoon to all of you. In the interest of time, I think we have around 50 minutes for this session. Instead of long introductions, let's get to business. I think we had an exercise where there was high energy already in the room. So with that, I would request each panelist here, it's been 2 years that we met last at this forum. It's been a substantial time. It's been a time of evolution. It's been a time of discovery. It's been a time of learning. And each of our businesses in different ways have migrated, experienced new challenges. We've faced this through technology, through different channels of distribution, through cost optimization, through technology. And I think we have a very good panel with different experiences from footwear to ethnic wear to malls to Future Group, which operates hypermarkets, supermarkets, everything under the sun. So starting with, I think, Sanjeev, I think sharing your experience as one of the largest retailer on this panel on how this journey has been over the last 2 years, especially COVID-1, COVID-2, how businesses have migrated, how customers have started behaving differently, the changes in the business model, the optimization of technology, and so on.
Thank you, Siddharth. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Last 2 years, as Dr. Gideon also said, you have actually set the agenda for the panel discussion of what changes have taken place. We have seen a large amount of change which has come in the market, be it retail players, be it customers. The way customers have evolved themselves, the way people have adopted to digital technology, be it kids or be it senior citizens. It's just a wow factor to see your parents and your grandparents ordering online, which you would never have thought in normal circumstances. Apart from that, what we also see, hopefully coming out of the pandemic now, the way for future business would be, to be present in omni-channel. If we feel that, only physical stores or only online would be able to help us, I believe we would have to think differently. Omni-channel is going to be the future way of doing business, because there are a lot of customers who have changed the way they shop. Many customers have switched to an online mode of business. They do not want to frequent stores the way we used to do normally in 2019 times. And since we deal in multiple formats of food, fashion, and home, we see a lot of different buying habits which come across from customers. If I take the example of customers who shop majorly for food and grocery, we see a lot of pantry loading happening in the beginning of the month, and the same customers shopping online when they want to do a top-up shopping. So there is the same customers shop in an omni-channel way, where they come to the stores and they do the entire monthly shopping for in a physical store, because they also want the touch and feel of a physical store. And at the same time, they have developed themselves or evolved themselves to shop online. Because when you do a top-up shopping, you don't want to go to the hassle of going to a departmental store and spending time, because your requirements at that point of time are pretty small. So online has given us this the kind of convenience, even for us as customers and to our other customers also, to shop online and get delivered. And nowadays, the customers have the convenience of getting delivery within 2 hours. Like, we promise our customers delivery within 2 hours, and that is something that they get to enjoy. So you think of cooking something in the morning, you have it during the day, and evening you have that product cooked for dinner. What could be much better than that? So, and in addition to that, to sum up, technology has played a very important role in the last 2 years. The way technology has evolved and people have adopted to it. If I recall a time when, sometime in 2018-19, when we used to look at reports, we were mainly focusing on stocks. Now when we look at reports, we are looking at customers, how customers are behaving. The entire way of looking at reports has changed, and that's how the entire retail for customers and for retailers have changed. Thank you so much.
One of the motivating factors for coming into this summit is, I know I'll find my friend Sagar here and I'll have his dim sums and momos. Unfortunately, he's not there, but the dim sum stall is there, and every time I come in, I see a new flavor, I see something new that you've experimented with. So pre-pandemic, we saw you expanding from small kiosks to larger, very experimental stores like in Delhi Hoskas to the one at Park Street. And, moving from low ticket rentals to very high ticket rentals and moving into different markets. Where are we post-pandemic?
Yeah, thank you, Siddharth Bhaiya. It's a long time we have met. The situation was totally different. During the pandemic, where we used to do sales around 17 CR per month has come down to 1 CR, and we had salaries of 4.5 CR. It was a very difficult time. And then what did we do? We came to our drawing board. We said that we have to change our the way we open the store. Exactly the we changed the format. Then we went digitalization. In the sense, we used to have the delivery business of near about 20-25% before pandemic. Now we have more than 80% delivery business. Takeaway business was 80%, which is now 20-25%. But I think after pandemic, it will become 50-50. So entire, everything got changed. The strategy, everything got changed. Now we don't need to take the places in the high, rental zones. We can take space anywhere. We can brand it, and we can have both, physical presence as well as a digital presence everywhere. And from there, from that journey today, now we are clocking around 27 CR. We closed down 50 stores and opened 113 stores. So, and we have gone to the 2-tier cities and other places where I think the consumer behavior has changed. So this pandemic has given us an opportunity to, excel. And we have gone to those places where we never thought of going in. We started our, FMCG concept of frozen momos, which is available in Big Basket right now. So these are the few things which we have taken is that it as opportunity, and we have implemented in our system, which is doing fine. And I think with time and with these challenges, since the consumer behavior has changed, we need to change the way we work. We need to change the way we think. So there has to be change in the thinking pattern.
For the understanding of the audience, what prompted the decision to close 50 stores? Was it economics
They are in
or
very
the
high
size?
rental zone, so they were in very high rental zone. And if you open it up also, I don't think we would make money. So we thought that it's better to let it go and concentrate on where we can, make the best. And I think then after that, we started going to outskirts of the city, like in Calcutta, example, Chandan Nagar, Chuchura, Diga, and other places, and they are doing much better business than the cities.
So the money, the wealth lies in Bharat, not...
Yeah. Then we thought of going international, and we thought that no, 1,000 stores has to be in India. And in our format, all our stores are company owned and operated.
Great. All company operated.
Yes.
So now at the cost of annoying the only lady on this panel, but I'll move to Arif and come to you later. So Arif, we've had, value retail to food to high-end fashion and luxury retail. So to a season when there were no marriages, to marriage, to vengeful shopping, to revenge shopping, how does it look like? More brands? What is the scenario like? How has been the experience for you? Because you come from a very different category, from Manyavar, Mohey, and so on.
So how we saw, COVID disruption as a blip.
You need to just keep it closer to you.
Yeah. So can you hear me? Yeah. So we thought that it as a blip. We always wanted to get back to business, and whenever multiple rounds of COVID happened, our focus was to how quickly we can come back and do our normal business. So to give you an example, we might have negotiated rentals and all with lots of landlords and developers, but we hardly closed down 1 or 2 stores in the entire country, and there was hardly any dispute with any of the landlords or developer, because we knew that's a long run relationship, long-term relationship, and we will bounce back. And we discovered that we are a semi-essential brand. This is not like a regular fashion brand. We realized that people will get married in India, and it can be postponed, but it can be deferred, but it can never come down. And interestingly, most of our customer base is around 80-85% is the family of the bride and groom. So when they decided to cut down the number of people, it didn't, affect us too much. So that was another factor which helped. Uh, we have a very high correlation with marriage dates and the kind of shopping which happens in our stores. So as the country started opening up, we started getting back the footfall. One trend which he also explained was that people from 2-tier and 3-tier stopped going to bigger cities and started shopping locally. It also helped us because our stores which were in tier 2 and tier 3 started doing phenomenal numbers. And we were amazed to see that this kind of potential exists. And this encouraged us to even, go further and open more stores in tier 2 and tier 3. Because now you know the potential of a smaller city. We are at around 1.1 million square feet of space, which is a very decent space for a vanilla brand. And we intend to open 2 million square feet in next 3 to 4 years. And we are on track, and we are back in the business. And if there's another blip or anything, we are pretty, ready for that. Because our basic, efficiencies are built in the system. You would be surprised to know that we opened a 16,000 square feet store in South X, on the main ring road. And the store has around 5 crore inventory, and it did 4.3 crores of business in November. So that means we are listening to the customer more and more. Because of these, threats and these disruptions, we have, gone deeper into the data. So today we don't make kurta because some fashion designer suggests to, make a kurta. We make kurta based on the data. The data drives us to, make another kurta in the same pattern or color or design. So the only option for, offline retailers is to, go deeper into data and try to, get, insights and be a lean, mean machine. I mean, that's the only way we can survive now.
Coming to Namrata, who just corrected me that Khadim is the second largest footwear brand in the country with 800 plus stores, which has a fair taste of India and Bharat. And, operating 800 stores, the mammoth tasks, and footwear is something which historically has not done very well online, because people want to try their footwear before they want to buy. So how has the category done? What have been your learnings? How have you repivoted the Khadim's business?
Thanks, Siddharth, for your question. See, I genuinely believe that the COVID experience has been a comma or a pause in the retail business. Offline retail, in my mind, is here to stay, purely because Indians, for lack of other reasons and better words, don't have much of entertainment options in this country. And it's also reflective of the fact that there's a lot of FDI flowing in the retail infrastructure business. So there's definitely a change in customer behavior towards online and omni, which we are definitely seeing, and we are also trying to move in that direction even prior to COVID. Yes, COVID has helped accelerate the process a bit, but it does not mean that offline, is, not here to stay. I think it's very much here to stay. So that comes from the fact that people enjoy the look and feel, people enjoy the entertainment of shopping, and that works best for us, because today, as we look at even the unit economics of a store, we are definitely looking at the same store growths, we're looking at the profitability metrics, which we're looking from an offline standpoint. And online helps an incremental business, but the offline business is still here to stay. In terms of...
Has there been any migration from offline to online? Any percentages you want to share for the audience today?
See, I mean, our offline business is still a larger proportion, and our online business is a percent of our retail sales approximately is around 3 to 4%, which we're targeting around 5 to 6%. But from our entire online platform, be it e-commerce, be it Endless Aisle, which is the in-store omni platform. In terms of the customer side, the customer is more aware today purely because they were more traveled. 10 years back, Customer was relatively less traveled. There's more exposure to online media, which makes us more responsible, which doesn't allow us to be complacent. We have to be on our feet, and we have to ensure that we're delivering customer value, that is in terms of product, in terms of service they demand, and you have to provide. And if you do not provide, you're going to lag behind. And today that also is reflective from the e-commerce business that has come in, that if you're able to provide a good value in terms of product, they will buy, irrespective of the brand. And that's what, when you read a lot of the marketing documents and a lot of the philosophical documents, you'll see that Gen Z, on a relative basis, is less brand loyal and more product loyal. And adding to what Mr. Arif had to say about data, I absolutely agree with him. Earlier, retail was more for an art. Today, retail is more for science. Retail is more in detail. We, as a team at Khadims, we don't work without data and detail, be it in terms of analyzing what your ASP is, your average billing value is, what your units per transaction is. If you don't work on these levers, it'll be difficult to grow beyond a point. So retail is detail, and you have to move with the time on that side.
Debangshu, coming to you. I think one of the biggest beneficiaries during the early phases of COVID was digital, technology and devices. So everybody, instead of one device, two devices, a family, each one needed a laptop, each one needed a handheld, each one needed iPads. How has that business really moved on from the first phase to the second phase to now? Has now sales been, largely now stagnating, or you're still seeing double-digit growth? How is that business doing?
So I'll take you through a little bit pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID, how it's happened. So earlier, it was more about a discretionary spend where a customer would just decide that he wanted to buy a product. For example, customer would just say, I want to buy a television. He would come, he would look at a television by hearsay or advertisements and come and decide and buy a product. Then COVID struck us. The moment COVID struck, people were at home. The initial phase of COVID was offices were closed. People were enjoying a period. They didn't know what will happen, but they never knew that it will go on for such a long period. So people started buying, stores were closed, but wherever they could, they started looking at, can I buy a television or something for entertainment? And that's when this Netflix boom started happening, and people were enjoying their time. And after a couple of weeks, stocks started depleting. The entire country did not have stocks. We went through a very bad phase, and our trade works on a very, very thin margin, very thin margin. And we didn't know how to operate. We didn't know how to pay salaries. The concern was stores were closed, customers were not being able to come, and we were getting frantic calls from people. The one most important thing that started happening was people wanted to remain connected. And irrespective of what we believe that people all have a handheld device, that's not true. In a house, even a child needed a mobile at that time. Schools started operating, offices started operating, people had only one laptop at home. Now, a father was using his laptop, using for his son's school, his own office, and if he had two children, it was difficult. So we were going through a phase where stores were locked down, we were not allowed to operate, and customers had only one intention, that I need a product. So we went into a different model. At that time, online was also not as aggressively allowed across all the states. Like we heard Kumar saying that. Yes, that's true, that everywhere online was not allowed. So we started operating, we got the help, and we were called out as a essential commodity, because mobile became an essential commodity for people. And they allowed us to operate stores, and specifically in digital or in geo stores. Digital, partially we opened for some hours, but geo stores are allowed to open because people needed connectivity. So we started opening, and customers were not allowed, but we went that extra mile, reaching out to a customer in his house and delivering. So we saw a consumer paradigm mind shift change, where from a discretionary spend or whatever he would want, it was a need-based spend at that time. So that went on for a part of it, and then phase one completed, then started opening markets around August, September last year. And we saw that there was a pent-up demand suddenly. And people had saved money, and they wanted to buy something. So a person who had a 32-inch TV wanted to come in and buy a 43-inch TV. People started looking at, okay, I don't need only a laptop, a mobile or a tablet. I want to upgrade my son to a laptop. These things started happening, and then again, COVID hit. This time when it hit, people became more conscious. And now what we saw is people were aware about what he exactly wanted. Earlier, if a customer would come in, a consumer would look at a television saying that he needed a television for his viewing experience. Today, the experience is not about viewing. It is more about what else can I use my television for? Can I use it for my office Teams meeting? Can I use it for my call because I'm not being able to connect, I'm not being able to go to see my son, or my son can't come to visit me? Can I do those things on my television? So the entire integration through technology started entering consumers. And that is a part of the mindset now. Now, when that shift closed, today we are back into a new normal as we are seeing now. And yes, the business has been healthy. With God's grace, I think the industry has shown quite a good one. And like they were saying that, yes, there is double-digit growth, very healthy. We are pre-2019 phase. We are growing by around 20% plus on that number also. So there is good growth in the market. But the difference in the customer's mindset now is, earlier he would come in and he was just expecting that he would come to the store and a customer would be guided by the store associate on what all he can do. Today the customer comes in and he asks that what else can I do? So for us it has been a different learning. Our trainings have improved. We now look at getting every single person to be a product specialist, no longer a salesperson. You cannot run as a sales associate anymore. You have to reach the consumer very clearly, much more closer. And when I talk about closer, it's not physically. You have to be much more, the customer feels that he needs to go to a place where the person whom he is speaking to exactly knows what all he can do with that product. He should be able to give that entire guidance, and the entire solution can be provided. So you are now today a complete solution provider rather than a sales associate anymore.
My question to you is, laptops, TVs, and all this is business which is largely moving to e-com, but still you are really expanding your store network. So you see that kind of potential, or it is just to take control of the entire market like other businesses?
India is a very, very big market, right? So the faster and the closer you are to a customer, the easier it is. We are looking at the consumer having customers also want any retailer to be nearby. They want them to be a next door retailer. So whether I have two formats, I have a Reliance digital format, I have a Reliance Jio format. Jio is more about, yes, both have the same things in each other, but Jio is more about an extended hand for digital. And of course, we also take care of the entire ecosystem of the Jio consumer-facing businesses. So these are the two things that help. So the reason we have been growing and expanding in the market is, of course, we want to be closer to the customer. And it's a huge base of industry. So it's not that only e-com. We have our own e-com which has been launched now. And that also is going closer. So if a customer if you want a true omni-channel, you cannot just say that I will deliver to his house. He has the option of coming and picking up also, and that's what we have seen in the Western countries. And we have already seen, we have started doing that now, and we are seeing a very, very fast, rapid growth of customers actually utilizing that platform today and saying that he does not want to wait for a delivery. He'll just come and pick up and go. And trust me, the kind of customer expectations that we are seeing today, every single customer looks at, if I do not get the product on the right time when I come out there, they are not really happy. So yes, you have to be closer to a customer, and you have to work on the omni-channel platform with a very, very strong logistical backbone. Otherwise, that will fail. So yes, we are expanding, but on the other side, we're also taking care of the logistics part as well.
Coming to Rishi now, Rishi, it must have been a very different journey. Retailers asking to renegotiate with malls, retailers saying no rent payable, no MG payable, acha rev share bhi nahi denge. And I have a very strong developer to the left of me, both in size and stature. And
face the brunt from both the sides.
So just finishing my question. So I'm saying now, hearing everybody expanding, double-digit growth, 20% growth, 16,000 square feet over in South X. So are you now going to walk up to Sanjeev and give him the rental he wants, or give him a premium on the rental he wants?
He'll still not give me a store if I'll walk up to him. He'll say, I have 400 retailers waiting for a store in my mall. Why should I entertain you? That's the answer which
That he will not tell you why should I entertain you, to entertain your retailers. So are you still walking up with proposals for a share, or are you now seeing the market heating up market eating up with people, retailers wanting to, ready to offer better rentals in places they want to do business.
Yeah.
So how has the journey been, especially over the last 3-4 months? Because, last year everybody was discovering what's happening, what's not happening. What are the changes you are seeing?
So the changes that we, being in this segment, are experiencing are more, linked to the real estate part of it. And yeah, there was a time when, mall developers were telling us that, boss, at least cam to de. So, and the other ones were saying ki boss, pehle main salaries to de दूँ. So that was the situation where we were in, and everyone used to, come back to us telling us ki please explain the developer. Developer used to come to us, please explain the retailer the pain that we are going through. So we've been through that journey, we've come out of that journey, and but there has been a lots and lots of changes that people have understood, retailers have realized. So one of them is, yes, they are bouncing back. Second, like our other panelists suggested that omni-channel is not only an experience, it has to be a combination of an offline and an omni-channel thing. As in Nykaa, if you look at it, like Mr. Kurian had mentioned, they started as omni-channel, but now we see their stores. Another big example of that would be, a Big Basket. Big Basket has opened up, are opening up their offline stores, which is like, very exciting for people like us. So that's where, the change has happened. But yeah, people have become more positive. But yes, there has been a change in the thought process of every single retailer when they look at it, where they want to expand, which property they want to be, whether they want to be a part of the mall, because malls were the ones which faced the maximum issues at the time of COVID. Whether it was the restrictions that were put on the mall, whether it was the extra cam that had to be borne by them. So today, retailers, what I feel, they've taken, their thought process has changed to in a way that they prefer being on a high street than going to any B or C grade malls. Being on a high street, paying 10 rupees higher is still, much more workable for them. But yes, when a second Quest comes up, when I would say a city center comes up, they would definitely want to be a part of it, and they're willing to pay the price of it. They're willing to pay the price of a South City, they're willing to pay a price of, Quest, but moving, like sir said, they're seeing a lot of business in the smaller towns. But smaller towns, when we look at it, today what I am experiencing, smaller towns, when we approach, the first thing they ask is it an A-grade mall? Is it only on a lease model? Does the developer understand the retail? If not, then we would prefer being on a high street. So that there has been a shift in the thought process, in the business model. And yes, but overall, I'll say that we're seeing the positivity in the market. We're seeing the energy back in the market, So we need a second Quest really soon.
With 400 retailers waiting, I think a second or a third Quest, I think second is an understatement, third should come. Responding to Rishi, you want to add anything? How has the journey been from cam to rent? And
first of all, I am from the retail side of things. So always remember, I'm batting for all of y'all. I'm sitting on their side, getting paid by them, but playing the game for you guys. I think the biggest challenge has been how we've acted responsibly. At Quest, we were all on the shopping center forum, where we've got a group, and we were always what's going to happen. At Quest, we were the first mall in the country to declare what we were going to do during the pandemic. CAM is never negotiable. CAM has to be paid. It is burned money. It's actually out of cost, so we never discussed that. We were the first mall who behaved responsibly with our partners. I got chewed up by all the other mall owners all across the country because we declared that we were going to do 50% rental even during lockdown. A lot of friends refused to have drinks with me. It's fine. They're all now bringing bottles back. So in the end of the day, it was survival. I think, I went through 3 months and about a month and a half of literally no sleep, because I had committed to our MD and to the chairman that I will pick up 50% rentals. And I did. And I convinced each retailer. I had very long conversations. It was horrendous. Do understand that not since Adam and Eve has the world come to a shutdown. I mean, it's unexplainable what happened. I think it's very important to understand the people who put in their work of ensuring places like Spencer's, there were no people. It's a process. All of you all understand when the mall comes in, it has to be logged in, stocked in, tagged, before it could be sold. For me I tried to pick up I think 40 kilo bori of rice or something. I said, I can't do it. It's, you can do it at 30, you can't do it at 50. But it was interesting helping, Shrikant's team. There were literally no people. The store manager did not leave the shop for 21 days. I have to tell you that this girl, she now, works for Debjani. I have to call her out. It's unbelievable that some of the things that people have done during lockdown, just to ensure people got staples, staples. So I think all of us have had such differing experiences. It has changed a lot of us, of how we look at it. Look at the partnerships with all our retailers. All our retailers today, everybody tells me, why don't you give me a shop? I actually discourage people because I believe that it's not about paying high rentals. Rentals are only a percentage of revenue. If you aren't going to do that revenue, you can't pay those rentals. It's stupidity. If somebody tells you, we'll take 3% from marketing, this, in the end of the day, it's all bullshit. In the end of the day, I work with McDonald's for the better part of 4.5 years. Every store has to make money. And that has to be the fundamental law, that every store has to make money. So it doesn't matter what we went through. We have kept all these things very close. We're still not out of the woods. The footfalls are not back. So anybody who tells you that footfalls are back, they're lying. The business is back. So we are doing 126% of business that we were doing pre-pandemic. But the people are not back. That means if they came 3-4 times, they're coming 1.5 times and doing this stuff. To me, that's a very worrying point. I look at it very differently from how the retailers would. But eventually, we'll all converge on the same issues because a Spencer's needs footfall. They're not going to do the numbers. There is a huge mindset change. Nobody's talked about the mindset change which has happened with the government. There were loads of stuff the government wouldn't have allowed. The pandemic has actually made sure that we are doing all of these, whether it's digital payment going through the roof or access to online, etc. There is a mindset change, obviously, of the retailer to be omnipresent. I don't think that you're ever going to go away from a model of, offline. I've always said, first there was this, I remember when we first started making malls, there was this high street versus malls. So now we have online versus malls. So all of this will keep going on. People don't realize that they've started buying more. It's unbelievable. A guy who used to buy 4 pairs of shoes, he's buying 10 pairs of shoes. So this latent demand, which was not coming up, has been pushed. In luxury, now luxury is on your phone. So inhibitions, whether at whatever strata level that you belong to, these are all mindset change. Do understand, 1.3 billion people are consuming now. It's at their doorstep, as he says. Retail is not about online, offline. It's about experience, price, and convenience. You're going to have people all across. You're going to have products all across. So don't think there is no market. Mohan, just now we were discussing how 328 mobile shops have shut down, or some figure he gave me. I said, These are the same people you've been telling me don't give shops because they spoil the market. You understand? So there's a lot of good things which are happening. There are good retailers who are going to stay in the market. There are people who have got good practices. You know, you have, in the end of the day, the customer is king. And I think with this, all these mindset changes have become very important.
Do you see because of entertainment or cinema, people are, visiting malls less? Because at least I used to visit the mall twice or thrice for cinema.
You know, as I said, there are some products which are linked with footfall. Funnily enough, the food court is linked with the cinemas. The cinemas have their own problems. There's no content. So, which comes first, but I can happily say that I was watching some of the movies. I now go and watch movies. And I'm finding that the cinemas are filling up. The numbers are going up. So it's all positive. In the end of the day, the people who really made money in all this COVID drama has been the pharma companies and all of these guys who've made great IPOs, but I think moreover the government has got the first part of it, they got it completely wrong. And they've left all of the retailers who are the mom and pop shops actually in a very, very sordid state. And they didn't think this through. They just, I think Mr. Modi got this horribly wrong.
I think we'll skip it here and let's move
No,
on.
I'm talking from the retailer side.
I think it's
yeah, whenever I say good things about for retailers, you say don't. Then you tell me, I don't think for the retailers.
So I think coming to Weber, who's been a business analyst, and a lot of the panelists have spoken about data, and Weber just told me he works for more than 1 lakh clients. So Weber, share some examples on how data or technology, real examples, without mentioning the brand or the client, just giving the space and what has changed, what has the data shown, how people repivoted their businesses.
Sure, thanks Siddharth. So when these guys were talking about data, it was like music to my ears that, okay, finally, we are evolving and, we are talking more so about data. So, pre-pandemic, what we had seen is that, that whole hesitancy that my data is going to go to cloud. How do I run my business? That whole data privacy was a big, big thing. The moment COVID hit, and of course, we were a bootstrap startup, so we were constantly wondering, like, how do we now work? Because when we talked to the customers, they were like, dhanda band hai abhi. Matlab entry kuch nahi ho rahi hai. How do I don't need any software. How do we now run our business of software, to penetrate into the market? And we had customers who were like, अरे कोविड चल रहा है और आपको अपना सॉफ्टवेयर बेचने की पड़ी है, leave us alone, right? Those kind of a thing. And what we realize is, how are we going to continue working here in terms of showcasing what we do? So we stopped selling our software. We started educating customers as what can be done through data. What we learned was that for the first time, customer had time. During normal business, everyone is so busy, hardly anyone picks up the call, and they were like, baad mein call karna. For the first time, everyone had time with the family, everyone had time to learn more about the business through data. And that gave us the opportunity to understand more in terms of what actually the customer needs and how can we make their life easy, especially during COVID. So we built a lot of things that made made it possible for them to run the business while working from home, because that became the thing. Investment initially, was a big challenge to buy a laptop, for everyone. Business is not happening, we don't want to invest. So mobile first, luckily we were mobile first, and that kind of enabled us to bring solutions to them at a very, very cheap cost. What I would say, COVID was kind of a blessing in disguise for us, because we doubled up our customers in almost less than a year. So we took us 3.5 years to build the first 50,000 customers, but less than a year and a half to build the next 50,000. And luckily, I think what happened is that people started thinking outside the box. They were not limited to how they were doing business. Everyone understood that there has to be a new way. If we continue the old way, we are not going to survive. So that change in perspective brought opportunities to startups like us to be able to build solutions for the customers. So that is what I've seen the change, and it's evolving. We had customers who called us and said, my salesperson is not able to visit all my retailers, right? Or distributors calling us, manufacturers calling us. How can you give us a solution where my retailers are able to see my stock, place an order directly, goes into my system, automate the whole thing out? So that's the opportunity that we are now looking at in terms of how we automate the processes, be it for retailers, be it for manufacturers, distributors, and make the life super easy. So COVID, unfortunately, was of course a thing that no one wanted. But it is definitely, like everyone here on the panel said, that how businesses have grown. And I hope that continues for everyone out here.
Sure. I think for the first time in my career of 20 years, we are actually seeing a phase, initially it was more demand-led, how will customers buy, how will we sell, evolving different models, using of technology. But for the first time in my career, I'm seeing an inflation that we've never seen before. And we're actually seeing an issue on the supply side, So one is the availability of goods and products. And second is the rising prices of everything, Though the rental cost might not have increased, the manpower cost have not increased, but for a retailer, eventually 60-70%, is the product cost, whatever that ratio works for different people. So the first time we're seeing both these challenges, both on the cost side and as well as on the supply side. How, the retailers here could take it up? How do you see panning it out over the next 2-3 months, the increased cost or lower supplies? How is it working out for you? Any of you can take it.
I think I'll give a little bit perspective onto this. When a product price goes up, and we basically work on a platform where, in an industry where people need things, he can defer his purchase, but he cannot stop that purchase. And technology is always evolving. Today, if you buy something, you need to buy the next one also, right? So it's only a matter of time. So he might just think that I'm probably working on an i5 Gen today, and tomorrow I need i8 has come in, and it's slowing down the system. I need to upgrade. So he can just defer, but he cannot stop. But on the other side, I feel those supplies are low. Yes, it is a constraint currently, and because of the chip shortage happening across the world, there is a major impact on supplies happening, and that's happening across everywhere in the technology space. But on the other side, there are more and more companies coming up. If you look at, I'll give you a small example. Today, around 2 years back, people would not see anyone wearing a smartwatch. Every person would be wearing an analog or something different, but they would not look at a smartwatch. Today, I was just looking at the data of last month. 27 lakh smartwatches were sold in 1 month and last month. And when I look at people who are earning 15, 20,000 rupees, they're holding 2 smartwatches at home. They wear one for regular office and they'll wear one for parties. Now, technology is like that. So you cannot stop buying. You will keep on deferring your purchase, but you'll ultimately buy. It's the same thing for every product, I believe. Like I'll say, we were not buying office wear for the last 1.5 years. In the last 15, 20 days, I myself have purchased around 4 of them, and I've now started going to office and just expecting that my office will open. Everywhere is the same thing. So demand can be delayed by some time, but ultimately it will come. I don't see a stoppage to it. And prices are going up. Everything prices have gone up. If I look at mobile phone prices, look at it. I come from that trade. Looking at it 2 years back, there was a plethora of products at the sub 10K brick level. You would see, if you go to any store, you would have seen around 20 to 25 of those models available. Today, you go to a store, sub 10K is not available because brands are not able to subsidize that pricing anymore. It was a subsidized price, and people have already had the feel of how it feels to watch a movie or work on a large screen. So now people are okay to buy with a 20-25% more and go into that 12,000, 13,000 rupee levels. And brands are also making money. And of course, they're giving that better experience as well. And it is happening. So I don't see that as a major hindrance now. But yes, people have also saved up money in the last 2 years, I would say.
Hearing that 27 lakh number, I think the next acquisition for Reliance could be a smartwatch company. Buy everything you can. Namrata, you want to say something?
You forgot GST.
Sorry.
You forgot GST.
GST has impacted some businesses, but not. So you want to speak about?
No, I'm saying you're adding to the entire price increase and the cost inflations. You also you have a GST also adding to it.
But GST has been there now for a couple of years.
No,
Some
the
categories are just
there's been an incremental.
Yeah, for some fabric and leather, I believe. Yeah.
And plus footwear as well.
Sure.
So I think there's no easier answer than saying that the price increase will be passed on to the customer. Unfortunately, that will land up on increasing
My
the
question
cost.
also was, are you seeing supply chain issues also impacting sales?
Yes.
And profitability of?
Yes, I think that has been a problem in the industry across. You are seeing shortages of supplies, and the only way to work around is to work closely with the vendors and the raw material vendors to ensure that increase payments to them so that you're getting better supplies. Dealing with the raw material price increase is only the only way to deal with that is to pass it on to the customer, and the inflation has been high.
One way which we have, everybody would have got impacted is, the common evil amongst all, which is China. That, so that has actually impacted every one of us because, they unfortunately control a large part of the raw material that comes in to India. So that has impacted, and frankly speaking, we have actually not, been able to make up to the loss that of raw material or the short supply of raw material that we used to get from there. So that has in one way impacted us. Apart from that, on the positive side, the supply chain partners have actually geared themselves up. And we see the kind of service levels that we used to have or the kind of infrastructure that the supply chain partners used to have maybe 2 years back. They have been able to scale themselves up to a very large extent. And we have seen this change happening. The pandemic has done this to them, where in maybe in 2020, they have seen the kind of challenges and the opportunity also that lies for them. And especially for us, where when we deal with daily essentials like grocery, and if supply chain does not work over there, then it becomes a very big problem for us and also for customers. So we had a very trying time during the entire pandemic period of getting supply chain back in place. But I believe all our supply chain partners worked overnight, and the kind of distribution setup that was evolved in the last 1 year has actually helped the entire supply chain industry.
Siddharth, again, mindset. Nobody ever discussed that they will stop. Before it was all China, China, China. I think this has also opened up a whole different discussion, and everyone is shifting out of China. And it's not going to happen. China's holding the world at ransom with the container prices. Today, from 1,200, it had gone to 9,000. Now it's down to 6,000, and they will come back. But all of these things has also thrown up a very positive thing that you have to spread your apples around. You can't just belong. And you can't trust the Chinese. That is very, very clear. We've known it for quite some time. They're great people to work with, for pricing. But, all these mindset changes have happened.
Paddy, one question to you. You spoke about footfalls, and in the people who mentioned a lot of footfalls which used to come to tier 1 cities, from tier 2 or tier 3 has mellowed down.
Yeah, so, it depends.
Do you see that as a reason for lower footfalls within the city?
No. See, you must understand a person who comes to a mall, how many times they come to a mall? At Quest, they come at least 5 times. They'll come, you are a prime example. You will come 1.5 times to see a movie. You will come 1.5 times to eat food. You'll come twice to shop. You can invert that in any ratio. And because of this, people only coming 1.5 times. So, you bring that level down and they're only coming for essentials.
Has city malls lost some district or rural customers?
No, I don't think so that that's true. But we would have definitely lost customers who come from Bangladesh or Pakistan or Nepal or... Pakistan, did I say? Sorry. We would wish to have some people from Pakistan.
You didn't mention China, but it's okay.
Yeah, they are both brothers of
Arif,
the same
you wanted
coin.
to say something?
Yeah, so I've been raising this point that when malls decide their assortment, they never consider their primary and secondary catchment, which have, high street stores. So we always felt that's not overlapping. So what happened during pandemic, people who used to go to malls were slightly skeptical and they moved to, high street. If we always had a plan that, in a certain area, there's a primary catchment next to mall and there are multiple flagship stores of different brands, and we would have taken that into consideration for our own assortment in the malls, I think the losses would have been minimum. Why can't we have a anchor sari store or a jewelry showroom as an anchor in a mall, because they are doing pretty good business. So nobody, I don't think they ever discuss high streets when they decide the strategy for a mall. I mean,
I think you're completely wrong.
Yeah.
I think you're completely wrong.
Okay.
Please do understand why I'm saying wrong. We're going to spend 300-400 crore rupees. We're going to put concrete into the ground. When you do that, you have some of the best minds who are going to be advising you, like the gentleman sitting in the middle. When they make a report, they go through concentric circles of how the business is going to come. We are detailing down to the last mile. If you get it wrong there, and that is what retailers need to do, not the malls. The malls are going to do it because that is there. They know that they've got to choose. The retailers, McDonald's does that. They will go to the last mile. We have not done it. Retailers have not done it. Trust me, the malls all do it. They know where the 80% of the business coming, 10%, next 5%. They will do all this calculation.
So is it a continuous process that you evaluate?
It's a continuous process.
No, see, beginning of the mall.
See, I'll tell you one thing.
I'll wear both hats, so it's a continuous process. But you have a lot of long-term contracts, and you have limited anchor spaces. So, and most of these anchors sign 15-year, 24-year contracts.
Now, what is happening is when you talk about a mature mall, so all our leases are finishing in 2022. You all are going to be very surprised when you see the Quest next avatar. There are going to be some of the biggest brands not there. Now, it's not because we don't want you there. It's because we don't have space. The customer has evolved to spend more. He wants different things. So also you have to keep abreast with the times. If you have been coming to Quest, you'll see I'm constantly changing, bringing different things. It's not that. We are studying what is happening, what people are wanting. Siddharth comes and puts me, you don't have this, I want to buy this. The great part about a retail environment, whether it's a store, whether it's a mall, it's constantly evolving, constantly. Product evolving, customer evolving. So you have to keep working on that.
So I think in the interest of time, we'll have to wrap up. Okay, I think it's been a great panel. Thank to each of our panelists for being here. And Rishi, Sanjeev has just given you a hint. He's revamping the mall. The complete mall is going to change. So you have a lot of business opportunities. Okay. So with that, thank you, gentlemen. If you have a couple of questions we can take from the audience, we'll take it. And I think we'll wrap up the session. Khushbu is there. The first hand goes there. Khushbu is quite... Let her ask the question here. Why do you decide beforehand? Bolo. We'll make him answer. Not over. We can't hear you. Can you take the mic? Or just... Acha, bolo.
Good evening, everyone. So, of course, my question is to you, Sanjeev sir. Since you said you are more from the retailers, you speak more from the retailers' point of view. That's why I'm specifically asking this question to you. For all those of you who don't know me, I'm Khushbu from Forum Group, from a mall. So, last year, post the lockdown, and even this year post the lockdown, I think all the malls came in support, and we all offered waivers or rental discount during lockdown, even beyond. Last year we did receive a moratorium from the government. This year we did not, after the second lockdown. Even then we went ahead and we supported these brands. My question to you is, for how long? Because there are some brands who expect you to keep on supporting them, and there is we've had to fulfill our financial obligations from day one.
I understand. First of all, the biggest thief in this country is the government. They only take, they never give back. 75 years of rule has shown that. So let's put that on one side. I think it's very important to understand who's taking advantage of whom. If a retailer decides to continuously ask, I think he doesn't deserve to be there. You have to look at it in an environment with other brands around him. If in the same ecosphere, you have 3 people in the same, and 2 are doing well and the third is not, hey, time to move him on. You know, you are not doing your right things. We've been very fair to our retailers. I think we have our retailer on board. We gave 50%. And then as it opened, we also realized they need time to breathe. We went into a strata formation where they paid us a minimum, and as their revenues went up, and if it didn't, we supported it. Now, I think that is called acting responsibly. Because in the end of the day, you know, a mall is no good without a retailer. But if somebody is taking advantage of a situation like that, I think you've got to ask, well, in my parlance, give him a kick in the butt and tell him to piss off.
So, one second. But second part of my question is when retailers come and negotiate with you, or what they've done in the last 2 years, they talk about relationship, they talk about partnerships, and because of that, we extend our support. But when we need that support, where is that partnership? Where is that business relationship?
Khushbu, in the interest of time, take Sanjeev out for a drink. I think he'll answer better. I think with this, let us end this discussion today. I think it's been an excellent panel. Chalo, just be quick, please, because the time's up.
I think this could go on till tomorrow.
Last question and then we'll...
No, when we have come, though, let us ask the question. Now.
Sure.
It's a very interesting discussion. My question is to Mr. Binod Homagai from Momo. So it's very nice to hear. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's very nice to hear that you're opening stores outside Calcutta also in small cities. I think you said some other cities also, small towns, B towns also.
Yeah.
So, but you have a name that your momos and other thing what you make have a very similar taste in all your outlets.
Yeah.
But how do you ensure that when you're opening stores outside Calcutta and other small cities, you have the same taste, same feeling, same environment, also in those parts of the...
So we don't make momos there. No? It is made in centralized in one place and it is sent across the state. Like we have a factory in Calcutta. It caters to all over West Bengal.
No, that I know. My question is, then have to open factories also in those places?
No. We can supply it from there. It has got a 48-hour shelf life and we keep it chilled. So it can go up to 7 days also.
Okay, then that means it will be stale.
Huh?
Yeah. It will be stale food.
No.
Then?
It will be, the model is such a like that. It has got a shelf life of 7 days. You have to keep it within the temperature of 0 to 4 degrees. We have temperature vehicles which will supply it to the different part of...
I think we'll take that offline. Yeah. The time's up.
No, I want to answer that.
McDonald's, KFC, Pizza Hut. Sir, you're asking very basic question.
Chalo. Guys, thank you very, very much. It's been an excellent panel and audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was an electrifying exchange of ideas. And now I would like to request our moderator, Mr. Pansari, to felicitate the panel speakers. Firstly, I would request Mr. Pansari to felicitate Mr. Arif Raza, Chief Retail Business Development and Projects, Vedant Fashions Limited. Can we have a round of applause? Next, I would request Mr. Pansari to felicitate Mr. Binod Homagai, co-founder and COO, Wow Momo Foods Private Limited. Can we have a round of applause? Next, Mr. Debangshu Adhikari, business head, Reliance Digital, My Jio Stores. A huge round of applause. Next, Ms. Namrata Chotrani, CEO, Khadims. A huge round of applause. Next, to Mr. Rishi Nayar, Director, City Head, ANAROCK Retail Advisors Private Limited. To Mr. Sanjeev Mehra, VP, Quest Properties India Limited. Next to Mr. Sanjeev Todi, Business Head, Eastern India Future Retail. And last but not the least, Mr. Vaibhav Vasa, Director, Biz Analyst. A huge round of applause. Thank you to all our panelists. And now I would like to request Mr. Tapan Acharya, CRO, Arvind Internet, to hand over the memento to Mr. Siddharth Pansari, Director, Primarc Group. A huge round of applause. Thank you to all our panelists and moderator. Thank you so much.